XXFM.
This is Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth. I am surrounded by black girl magic this morning. Yes, yes, indeed. She is the... Eileen, what is your title at the ensemble? You run the thing, so I don't know.
I only run the artistic arm.
The artistic arm
Yes.
of the Ensemble Theatre.
Yes.
And she is the director of Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play. Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Eileen Morris is on the program once again.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much for having us, as always.
It's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be seen, as they say.
Yeah, I know, right? And one of the actresses that are starring in Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play, Krystal Uchem.
Yes,
Did I say that right?
yes.
I got you right. She is here, as well as Daria Savannah. So good morning to you,
Savannah,
Daria.
yes.
Good morning, Daria. Good morning,
So happy
ladies.
to be here. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you all are here. So, Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play. When I got the brochure for the season, and I read that, like, I chuckled to myself, because Mean Girls is it's an American cult classic on the movie scene, and so to see the African Mean Girls, I was like, oh, this is going to be. I would love to see this take and twist on this film that it has brought to the stage. So, Eileen, tell us about it. You directed it. Tell us a little bit about Mean Girls, or Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play.
Okay. Well, great. I'd love to. Thank you so much again for having us, KG, and we really appreciate opportunity to let your listening audiences know what it is that we're doing at the ensemble. So, Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play, is written by Jocelyn Bio, and she lives in New York, and we had a wonderful opportunity to be able to talk with her about the play and her thoughts about it, why she decided to write it. And so when we think about that and think about the reasons for doing it, I was able to see the play at in New York at the MCC Theater. So the story is a universal story that deals with these young ladies who are going to school at a boarding school in Aburi, and it's in Ghana, West Africa. And so these young ladies, every year, they have an opportunity to compete for the Miss Ghana pageant. And in their competition, of course, then that creates it kind of unfolds a lot of different variables that come about. Like, you find out what are the personalities of these young women. You find out who is the head queen bee, Miss Paulina. And yet when someone else comes along, Miss Erica, played by Miss Daria Savannah, then what happens when these two dynamics come together, and all the other young women that are around them, who goes, at one time they're all favoring the one girl, and then the new kid comes in and they begin to favor her. And so it's the dynamic personalities of these young girls, and what happens when they're all trying to compete for something, and when they're trying to really get to know who they are as young women. I think that's the discovery. So the play deals with those aspects, as well as we have a headmistress and a former Miss Ghana that's a part of the cast. So we see these parallel of stories from a more mature set of women who have gone through this same thing when they were younger and went to Aburi, the boarding school, and then these younger women and what they're dealing with today. Nice. It's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
Yeah. So I love to laugh. So, Daria, tell us about your character.
So I played the character of Erica Boifo, and Erica is a young biracial girl. Her father is from Ghana, or Ghanaian, and her mother is white. And she's from Ohio, so from the States. So she comes
I'm from Ohio.
Yeah, Portsmouth. Never heard of Portsmouth before this play. But that's where she's from.
Portsmouth, Ohio. Me neither. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. What's Portsmouth? Is there a Portsmouth, Ohio? I don't know, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
So yeah, she's the new school, or the new kid on the block. And she comes into this school, and she just wants to make friends. Of course, this is an entirely new area for her. She's never been in anything like this. I think back in the 80s, it was predominantly white. There wasn't a lot of black kids there. So to come from that, to come to Ghana with all these black people and these black girls, and she's so excited. It's a new discovery for her, and she finds out who she is, I think, along the process. And she also has to deal with the fact that she's coming to this new setting under very hard circumstances. Her mom, I don't want to give away too much of the play, but she has tragedy in the States, and so she has to come to Ghana where her father lives. And so she has to get through all of that, all while keeping this face and adapting to her environment. And so you're able to really see a young girl just unfold and see her strengths, see her weaknesses, and how to get through that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, Krystal, tell us about your character. What's her name?
I play the role of Gifty. She and the other character, Mercy, are actually cousins in the play. Gifty is a character who's really relatable. She actually suffers from a learning disability. She has dyslexia, so she has trouble reading, and that kind of set her back in her high school career. And so that's how she kind of fell into Paulina, the head Mean Girls pack, because she really wanted to feel included and feel special and be popular. And so Gifty offers a lot of comic relief in the play, and also just offers something that kind of makes the play interesting and different, in the sense where we get to see body image and self-worth in all elements, not just skin color, not just weight, but also your level of intelligence that you might have.
Yeah, very important, especially for today's times, with dealing with young Black girls and self-image and beauty and all of the pressures that they see through the lens of their telephone, through these social media apps of what is being told to them that is beautiful.
Yes.
I can see us breaking out of that. I believe that era is kind of coming to a close because with, how these Instagram models, the pictures that they take and just the fakeness that they want to perceive that their life is so perfect, that all of that is being breaking down. And people know that this isn't real life. Like nobody's happy all the time. Like, and this isn't the image that you need to seek after, because you're beautiful. You already are enough.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You already are enough. So I think this is very, very timely. You listen to Access Houston. We're talking to the women of the Ensemble Theatre, the director and part of the cast of Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play. Eileen, with directing this, had you seen Mean Girls the movie, A, and B, what was the experience like with directing such a multifaceted production? I mean, with the social issues, with it becoming kind of Pan-African, if you will, with African Americans and African, and just that struggle of women feeling that they are enough.
Right. I think, well, first of all, I hadn't seen the Mean Girls movie.
You never seen Mean Girls?
And so I watched it, of course.
Really?
After I had not seen it. And so I'm like, what is I mean, of course, I'd heard about it, but I was like, I hadn't seen that. I saw Bring It On and some other ones that are more in that style, but I hadn't seen Mean Girls. So I watched it, and right before we started rehearsal, I thought, wow, this is like really harsh and deep. So I thought, okay, we're going to go in here, and it's another aspect of looking at this movie, but through the lens of a play, and having it be in another country. So first things first is that we wanted to be able to cast authentically as possible. So we started auditions, KG, much sooner than we normally start. Our auditions are normally in June, and we started in May, so April, May, so that we could spread the word and let people know that we were looking for true African women that were actresses, or African American or first generation women that were here.
I'm sure that
because
wasn't
of the
hard
past.
in Houston. I mean,
well, it wasn't too bad, but we got like at least about 20 young ladies that were totally new to the Ensemble Theatre family. We had never seen them before. And the cast is a cast of 8, and so only 2 of the actors are veterans of the theater, and the other 6 are all new to the ensemble.
Wow.
Out of those 6, 4 of you are first generation, right? Right. So that was really exciting for us, that we were able to tap into a culture of people that had not been to the theater or that had either been to the theater but definitely had not worked on our stage.
Yeah.
So that was first thing. And then it was just about, okay, how does this affect us? What in our worlds has happened? Like all of us have either been in a beauty pageant or done something, whether it be for me in high school or college, and for the young ladies, and same thing, high school or college. But what was that experience like? What did it, how did it make you feel? And what's your takeaway from it? Because I think the biggest thing for me in doing this play was about, each one teach one. We all have to learn, and we have to really set the path of what we want to be told. The story is one thing, but what do our lives do after this story? When this story is over a year from now, how is our takeaway something that we can affect the next generation or other young people? And that's what we talk about constantly, like what are our lessons learned? How do we grow from this? What is it that we want people to get from this? What do we want to get from it? And then how do we make the world a better place? Because that's what that's about, I think.
Yeah.
Do you all want to add anything to that?
Yeah,
Well, and it goes back to what you were saying with how the stigma of what you have to look like or how you have to be, it is breaking. And it's so funny because before this production, I was asked to be a part of it and, got into it. I was kind of seeing that growing up being having a lighter complexion, you see those differences and you don't really understand it as a child.
Right.
And I think this play has brought into full fruition of just how it happens universally. That's one. And how it's just stupid. It's so stupid. And for me, I totally love myself, but I love brown skinned people. The darker, the beautiful. I mean, I love it. And I'm so glad that we're able to have conversation about it. And it just shows how God truly just brings everything together, because before this play, that's what I was passionate about and what I was trying to teach my younger sister and my younger cousins. You're beautiful. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about what they say. And so then now I'm a part of this, and it's just like, great. It's a great message.
I love that.
It is.
Yeah, and what's so shocking about the idea of like skin color, and especially this play and the idea of colorism, is that it's rooted inside our own ethnic group. It's African Americans critiquing other African Americans, saying that darker skin complexion is less beautiful than someone who has a lighter skin complexion. Yeah. And so we all need to just bring each other up within our own ethnic groups, and so we all can prosper and just remove ourselves from the negative image that's attached to the status quo of beauty and social and political aspects of the world.
I mean, it is so true. To your point, Krystal, I went through that whole thing myself. I mean, growing up, I never thought that I was attractive or handsome because I was dark. It wasn't until I was a full-grown man that, it finally clicked. Like, yeah, because I'll always get the backhanded comment like, "Oh, you're so cute to be dark skinned, or you're so handsome to be dark skinned," and I would be like, "Well, dang, I don't know if I should be flattered or offended." Like, it's just like, what is that? So I'm glad that you all are breaking the mold. Listen, Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play, is running now through October 13th at the Ensemble Theatre. Check it out. Go to their website because they have just released the entire 2019-2020 season for the Rhythm of Life's journey at the Ensemble Theatre. So Eileen, Krystal, Daria, I thank you all for coming on. I cannot wait to see Schoolgirls because I love a good comedy. I love some comic relief, and looking forward to it. And I know that you all are killing the stage, so that goes without saying. So thank you all for coming on. Nice to meet you, ladies.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
It is good, as always. It's so good to see you, Eileen. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth, welcoming back to the program. She's a friend to the show, but it's been quite some time since I've seen her lovely face in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Melanie Johnson is back. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Great. Likewise.
What has been going on the past year or so?
Well, I'm here to talk about Collaborative for Children, an amazing agency of 125 employees, 32 years here in the Houston area, improving the quality of early childhood education. Oh, nice. That is something that is very important. And I see that we have a Give a Child a Chance luncheon that is happening this Wednesday, October the 2nd. And that's going to be where? At the Junior League, 1811 Briar Oaks Lane. Yes, that's correct.
So tell us all about Collaborative for Children.
Well, Collaborative for Children, as I said, has been around for 32 years, and we have gone out to improve the quality of early childhood education throughout our 13-county region. And we've done that through those who are most influential in the lives of the children, the teachers, the parents, the business owners for child care centers and directors. And it's been phenomenal work. But now we'd like to take it a step further or probe deeper. And in doing that, we want to make sure that children, specifically children in underserved communities, have the 21st century skills that they need to succeed long term. We have been using the measurement of school districts and the measurements that are empirically researched to allow affluent children to be successful. But children who are underserved need so much more in order to be successful because, only 30% of learning goes on in the classroom. 70% of it are those indirect learning experiences, and we want to make sure that we have new pilots that completely shake up the landscape of early childhood education.
Wow. Well, that is so very important because there seems to be a lack for this very effort.
Absolutely.
And so, do you know what was the? I know that there's numbers and statistics of things, but what was the catalyst? What was the thing that made the good people over there at Collaborative for Children say, "Hey, we need to jump on this. We need to jump on this now because we are seeing a recurring issue and we want to stop this cycle"?
Absolutely. So a couple of big numbers pop out in my head if they're not 1,000 more. And one is that 65% of Houston's children, early learners, are not prepared for kindergarten or for school readiness. And so we think that is a dismal level of preparation for our children and for our future of our community. The other statistic that is just absolutely astounding, which made Collaborative focus so diligently for 32 years on this work, is that 85 to 90% of the brain's growth and development happens from 0 to 5. And so we want, and particularly 0 to 3, that's 85% of the brain's development. And that happens through experiences. And the experiences must be robust, must be nurturing. There must be constant interaction with young children. And we want to make sure that all parents are aware of that, but that all teachers and child care centers are as well.
Indeed. You listen to Access Houston talking to Dr. Melanie Johnson, Collaborative for Children. They are going to host Give a Child a Chance Annual Luncheon to benefit early childhood education. And you all have a phenomenal keynote speaker. You want to tell us about her?
Yes. Dr. Jana is an outstanding speaker. And she comes to Houston to our Give a Child a Chance annual luncheon to talk to us and to really educate adults in this community, the business community, on the cost for not investing early. And she comes from the standpoint of a pediatrician, a prior child care center owner, a professor at Penn State. So she is well-versed in the need to invest early if a community really wants to thrive long-term, and specifically those children in vulnerable communities. And she will also offer those social, emotional, and 21st century skills that are necessary to thrust our children forward.
You know, I feel, I don't even know what's the word, a bit silly, I guess, asking this question because, you know, to your point that, you know, the child only learns like 30% when they are in school. The rest of the time is, of course, at home. And I say I feel silly asking this question because one would think that common sense would let a parent know, you know, that a parent would know what to do and play games or read to their child or whatever. But the reality is it's just not happening in underserved communities. So if you can tell us one or two things that a young parent who may be listening to this segment right now at home can do with a child that is between the ages of 0 to 5 to help develop their brain more, and so we won't continue to run into this issue?
Yes, that's not a silly question at all. In fact, that is absolutely an excellent question, KG. What's so important about that question is that children don't come with a playbook.
Right.
And absolutely no one knows what to do with a baby when they come into their lives. So I would strongly encourage young parents to not fall into myths of letting a baby cry until they fall asleep. Pick the baby up, coddle the baby, talk and serve and return is what we call that. Engage and interact with the child. Don't leave them to electronic devices to nurture and to give the brain the experiences that it needs to be successful down the road. You've got to interact. It's not a horrible thing to have them to watch Peppa Pig or some of those great
Right.
cartoons.
But not all day, though.
That's right. And you don't want to, and you want to watch it alongside your children so that you're interacting and asking questions, like touching and pointing to certain characters and asking the sounds of an animal and so forth. So you definitely want to be very, very engaging and interacting with your child.
Indeed. You just saying that, I'm reminded of, I just saw this last week. ABC had aired the Beyonce, the making of the gift of her album for The Lion King. And there was a clip in the beginning of this special / documentary, if you will, where Beyonce has Rumi, which is one of the twins. I keep forgetting that Jay-Z and Beyonce even has twins because we never see them. But anyway, she's holding Rumi, and Rumi has to be, I don't know, 14, maybe 16 months.
Yes.
Maybe. And Beyonce is asking her, what sound does the cat make? And the baby goes,
Absolutely.
meow. And she's like, what sound does the cow make? And at first she was like, caca. And Beyonce said, the cow. And she said, moo. She said, what sound does the lion make? And she said, roar. And it was the cutest, thing. Because I'm like, this baby has to be no more than 16 months at the time. I mean, I know they're probably like 2 years old now, but it was the cutest thing. And
the most appropriate thing in the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kudos to Beyonce.
But every parent should do
mother.
that. I mean, I am an avid reader because my mother and my grandmother read to me as a child.
Absolutely.
I had 2 serious surgeries when I was 5 years old, and I remember my mother reading to me Sesame Street books, even doing the characters' voices. Like she could sound just like Grover and Cookie Monster and all of that. And that helped, of course, me to become a pretty good reader. And, and I read as a child, as an adolescent, and I continue as an adult. So little things like that is very important, not only for early childhood, development, but it also helps throughout
long run down the road. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. It's very critical to read to your children, even when they cannot read yet.
Yes, indeed. You're listening to Access Houston, talking to Dr. Melanie Johnson. Collaborative for Children is hosting Give a Child a Chance, their annual luncheon to help benefit early childhood education. Their keynote speaker will be Dr. Jana, a renowned author and pediatrician. So save the date for Wednesday from 11:30 to 1 at the Junior League of Houston. That's 1811 Briar Oaks Lane. Where can people go to get more information, to maybe, I don't know if they register, get tickets and all of that?
Yes. Our website would be giving@collabforchildren.org. Giving@collabforchildren.org, or go to our website, collabforchildren.org.
Collab for Children. Been doing this for 32 years, and I have to say that I am ashamed that this is my first time hearing about Collaborative for Children. And I know, shame. I know, and I'm the community guy. Like I should, but this is incredible, though.
You will hear much, much more, and thank you for allowing us to get the word out about Give a Child a Chance.
Absolutely, as cliche as it may sound, but Whitney Houston sang it. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well, and let them lead the way. It sounds so cliche, but it is so true. When I think of all of the craziness that is going on in this world right now, especially when it comes to climate change and sensible gun control, how it's the children, the teenagers that are from 12 to 17 that are mobilizing and making things happen to try to, make that change. So as cliche as it sounds, it is so true.
Indeed, out the mouth of babes. They're not just small-minded.
Right.
They're just small-bodied.
Yeah,
yes.
that's all. You are absolutely right.
Yes.
And I know they're probably looking at us like, you all are not going to be here, so you don't care anyway. But we do care, and that's why Collaborative for Children is here and has been doing the work. So thank you to that lovely organization, and thank you, Dr. Johnson, for coming on. So good to see you.
You're very welcome. It's likewise a pleasure to see you and to be here.
Indeed. And thank you for listening to Access Houston.
We'll be back with more Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.